Hello, my name is Jeremy Marks, and I'm a project manager with Literacy Link South Central, and I'm here with my colleague, Carolina Cahoon, who is also a project manager with Literacy Link. We are based out of London, Ontario, and we both work in the adult learning, also known as the literacy and basic skills field. In addition to being project managers, both Carolina and I do educational technology research at Literacy Link South Central. And we're delighted to be able to take part in this event today. So if you're with us on this side of the Atlantic in Canada, good morning. And if you're joining us from Europe on the eastern side of the Atlantic, good afternoon. And I'd just like to take a moment to say thank you for our invitation to join the brave new world, accessibility to, and the use of artificial intelligence by acquired deafblind learners. So prior to getting started, I would just like to give everyone a quick introduction to our agenda. So we're going to begin by introducing AI and discovering the fundamentals involved with AI, as well as I'm going to provide you with a brief history of our journey and our experience using it. We're going to get some personal insights from a colleague of ours who is an acquired deafblind learner, and he's going to talk about his experiences related to AI. We're going to talk about opportunities in education and learn about exciting opportunities for integrating AI into educational settings. And then we're also going to discuss screen reader behavior and find out more about how screen readers interact with AI technologies like Copilot, a Microsoft product, as well as Gemini AI, which is a Google product. All right, so I'm going to begin us off. Our presentation is called A New Journey, Intro to Artificial Intelligence and Our Story. So I thought I would begin with a quote from Fei Li, who is a professor at Stanford University and an AI pioneer. And she said, as a technologist, I see how AI and the fourth industrial revolution will impact every aspect of people's lives. I like this quote in no small part because one of the things that I find very entertaining about my own relationship with AI is that it really only began less than a year ago. I would say it wasn't until the late summer of 2023 that I first really began to experiment with artificial intelligence. And so I say that with a certain sense of humor because here I am, 7 months later, talking about not only my journey, but also about ways in which, through research that I have conducted with Carolina, ways in which AI can be used in education. And so one of the things I take from this is that when you really apply yourself to a new topic and really start to engage and experiment with it, you can come a fairly far distance in a short period of time. I also say that humbly because I know there is an infinite amount regarding artificial intelligence that I do not yet know anything about. So I like to start off by asking, what is AI? We hear the word all the time. People talk about it, but do we actually have a strong sense of what it is? And I think one of the best ways of really engaging with the question of what is AI is asking ourselves, when did you try it? When did you first actually use it? And you might be surprised to know, or not surprised, that you've been using artificial intelligence probably far longer than you might think. So I'm going to get into different types of AI in a moment, but I thought that it might be kind of humorous and entertaining to actually go to generative AI itself, in this case, Microsoft Copilot, and ask it what artificial intelligence is. So a couple of days ago, I asked my Microsoft Copilot, can you please tell me what generative AI is? To which Copilot responded, generative AI refers to a type of artificial intelligence that can create new content. It's a subset of machine learning where models are trained on a large amount of data and can generate outputs that follow the same patterns. And honestly, my interpretation of that is it is a program that is able to take potentially an infinite amount of information that not only exists currently on the web, but also integrate that information with the types of questions or prompts that I ask it. So it can look at the patterns in my questions, the linguistic patterns in my speech, and based on those patterns, start to deliver answers to me that, and I say this also with humor, it thinks that I want to hear. So as you can imagine, embedded in that statement, there are certain potential problems in working with something that tells you the things that it thinks you want to hear. But on the other hand, there are also potential advantages of that as well. So I also asked Microsoft Copilot, Can you please tell me how you think that generative AI is changing lives? And so it responded, generative AI is reshaping everything from our entertainment to how we search for information, plan meals, and even navigate the complexities of dating and relationships. And so as generative AI continues to evolve, its influence on our daily lives will extend far beyond what we can currently imagine. I like this quote in part because it really does personalize and individualize our relationship with the technology. So while a lot of people are hearing about AI in terms of its use at work and, as an attempt like automation to make our jobs easier, more efficient, or more productive, it's about a lot more than that. It's actually about creating, as the term Copilot indicates, a true virtual assistant that can not only provide us with answers that it thinks we wants to hear, but even can potentially anticipate what our needs are going to be, not just in terms of work, but also in terms of the events in our personal lives. And depending upon your feelings about that, you may find that to be exciting and a new frontier and something to be welcomed, or you might be a little bit concerned about that from a security standpoint. So when we think about AI, I like to ask, okay, what kinds of AI have you likely already used or encountered? So I decided that it might be useful to divide up some of these options into two categories. So I've created two columns on the slide I have in front of me. One is called sort of common uses of AI, and one refers to more advanced versions. So on the common list, I included 5 items, including virtual assistants like Siri, for example, if you're using an Apple product. Recommendation systems, which is a really broad name. Basically, when you use some type of an app that provides you with recommendations about, could be restaurants, it could be using something like a satellite navigation device to recommend different routes to get to your destination more quickly and efficiently. There's also email filters. So for example, you use AI if you use a spam filter in your email. We all who use social media have social media filters that we use in terms of people that we follow, sites or businesses or newspapers, etc. Anytime that we indicate that we want to get certain information sent to us, that type of filter is a form of artificial intelligence. And then, of course, online advertising. Anybody who has ever used Google, for example, knows that Google enables us to search, quote unquote, freely by providing our information to advertisers. So the advertisements that we see on Google, for example, or Facebook for that matter, are based on the types of clicks and the types of searches that we've performed. That is a way right there of AI anticipating or trying to cater to what it believes that we want or are interested in. And then in the other half of the slide, the more advanced column, are technologies like voice to text, which we're actually using right now. We have an automated transcript here for this presentation. Fraud detection. So, a bot that can take a look at, for example, emails that you receive to try to detect whether or not those are fraudulent or an attempt at a scam. There are smart home devices that people use. An example of this is I forget what the type of vacuum is called specifically, but there are little vacuums that you can program to just clean your house for you. You don't have to follow around behind them. They know exactly where to go, and they use sensors to make sure that they're covering the floor space in your home or apartment. And then, of course, if you're really bold and daring, self-driving cars are a form of artificial intelligence as well. And then, of course, the AI that you've most likely heard the most about are the bots like ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, and Google Gemini. And when you ask people, or at least in my experiences when I ask them, this is typically what people mention when they hear the word AI, as they think of, usually it's ChatGPT that comes first. So one of the things that, and this gets into our personal journey at Literacy Link South Central, one of the things that we have explored and discovered is the ability of generative AI to take information and interpret it in graphic or visual form. And so just very briefly, one of the reasons that we like this, and that I in particular like this, is it's a way to take concepts that we would normally describe using language, printed language, or through, verbal explanations, and translate it into images, using infographics, in other words, to convey concepts and data. So one of the things that I've done is I have created a slide with a AI-generated image. I did this using the DALL-E image generator from Microsoft Copilot. And what I did was I have this image on the screen, and what I have is a descriptive text to go with it. So for example, if you were using a screen reader and it came to this image, if by putting this description into alternative text, it would tell you that before you is an image of a cardinal, a bird with a red body, black face, and yellow beak, perched on the thumb and index finger of a white fist holding a white baseball with two red threaded seams. The hand is partially in light and shadow. And so one of the things that we've really explored is how screen reader technology, or how, can be used as a way of incorporating images. Because one of the things that Carolina and I have also investigated through something called Universal Design for Learning is always trying to explore different ways to convey information through audio, visual, as well as print-based forms. And that's a modality that you'll hear more about a little bit later on. All right, so before I hand this over to Carolina for her portion of the presentation, what I will say is that one of the most interesting possibilities surrounding artificial intelligence is the fact that it opens up all kinds of new frontiers for the imagination, but it also raises questions about accuracy and factuality. So one of the things that we're also spending a lot of time exploring, and we have resources we'd be happy to share with you about this, is the fact that just because AI provides you with information of a visual nature or an infographic nature doesn't mean it's always accurate. Just like you wouldn't trust everything you read on the internet, you don't necessarily want to trust everything that AI provides. That would be the subject of a different presentation, but like I said, we have some excellent resources that we can share with you if you like. All right, so I will pass this over to Carolina. Thank you.
Carolina speaking. Wow, thank you for that great introduction, Jeremy. Absolutely. My presentation part is to share some opportunities for educators, just to go along with what Jeremy shared with his introduction and with all our work at Literacy Link South Central. Unfortunately, our time is short, but I hope this presentation invites you to be curious and try artificial intelligence. Or if you already do, I look forward to seeing more discussions on Deafblind International social media, DBI meetings, or perhaps in our private Google groups at the Technology Network. Jeremy and I, as he described, have been working with AI and Universal Design for Learning for nearly a year. And there was not much out there on these subjects when we got started. So I would like to introduce you on this image. Please meet my team. Left to right, there's a group of 3 smiley people sitting around a table with laptops. That's us. Left to right is me, followed by Nina, a friend who is an experienced screen reader user and Braille reader, and Jeremy Marks testing chatbots with different operating systems and screen readers. Next slide, please. Embracing and adapting to change is the narrative and story of the upcoming years. So as we shift towards an economy heavily influenced by AI, it is vital for everyone to adjust and start acquiring AI competencies. AI holds the promise to transform education. As we say, it's a game changer for educators and learners, pretty much for everyone. It has the capability to tailor learning experiences and make education more accessible. However, we must understand AI by educating learners on how AI works, not just whether it works to foster a responsible and informed society. So this is where AI literacy plays a vital role. If another artificial entity possesses all this knowledge, we must ponder what is the significance of our actions? What is actual my role? What is the purpose of AI? we should consider how AI can augment the relevance of our educational experiences. It truly is a demanding task for educators. As an educator, I actually empathize. AI right now is available to the public. It is out there, and it was released with no established structure. But if you haven't started using AI, if you're concerned, if you're embracing it, and you're an avid user, regardless of the situation, it's okay. AI is a new mindset, and we're still trying to figure out how to work with it. We're still learning to navigate this new landscape, this brave new world. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, the opportunities in education are numerous. It is actually a game changer. For example, personalized learning assistance. We invite you to check our report on Universal Design for Learning and AI. You may find some new practices for the integration of AI in learning environments. Then it's AI technology integration in so many apps for increased accessibility and awareness. For example, if you Google, there's a video on YouTube for Alexa that says, "What am I holding?" We have the Scene AI app. We have beacon and wayfinding technology, smart glasses with AI describing the world, Microsoft and Google integrations of AI in their apps. In fact, Microsoft Word now creates automatic headings and verifies with users if the heading style is accurate. How cool is that? PowerPoint Live also creates instant translation in several languages. And Zoom Companion has an instant note-taking feature. And there's so much more about AI. Next slide, please. Now that we discuss opportunities, I am honored to share some of group findings related to screen readers. So to give you a little bit of a history, I have been meeting with some members from the blind and deafblind communities to learn about how they use AI, how they use AI. Some of them are avid users, like Mike. Others have not had the chance to use it as much because they would like more training. A couple of weeks ago, Jeremy and I met with Nina, who is a proficient screen reader user. And again, we're still gathering information as testing with multiple operating system, devices, screen readers. I don't know, we can create a whole list, right, of different devices and, for example, browsers. It really requires time. We'd also like to hear from the perspective of other users. And we're trying to borrow a Braille display. So for this presentation, I am sharing some brief findings since many are familiar with VoiceOver on Apple devices and Microsoft Copilot and Gemini Google AI. And when I say VoiceOver, I mean for the ones that are embedded in mobile devices. So Nina, initially, she tried Copilot embedded in the Bing app, but the interface was overwhelming with a lot of irrelevant information, such as ads, newscasts, that in fact sighted users could not see. The app looked quite clear with white space, and there was a chat on the bottom. But as I mentioned, it was really difficult to navigate with a screen reader. And at some point, we heard page 8 of 8. So what we did, we switched to the Copilot app, and the experience was actually smoother. The menus were clear, but the user interface, so UI, when we got into the text input, was slightly labeled differently. It says, "Ask me anything," ellipsis. And the microphone functionality was not optimal, unfortunately, because when we activated, it typed the description of the interface, and it captured what the screen reader was voicing. Thus, she recommended typing prompts for ease of access. Next slide, please. And then what we can say, in this case, Gemini AI was the winner. The user interface was clear with language familiar to screen reader users. The best part was that the microphone could be actually used, and it provided the user with information, whether it was generating a reply or was in the process of typing. So the buttons for listening to the information were clearly labeled, and they said, for example, processing, resume, pause. The whole experience was very clear. So overall, a much better user experience. We cautioned that both Microsoft Copilot and Google Gemini's AI, as Jeremy mentioned, have privacy measures in place, and they handle the user data differently. Next slide, please. So just to share a few final thoughts, our journey exploring the accessibility of chatbots has just begun. We believe that further research is required, encompassing a variety of devices, chatbots, operating system browsers, and especially users with diverse communication styles. As discussed, we're still in a journey to work with AI, and I'm very optimistic about the creation and refinement of the creation of inclusive chatbots as developers and leaders seek users' inputs and continue working to address the challenges faced by users with diverse abilities and communication styles. Thank you.